Your roof is probably one of the most expensive parts of your home. But the thing is, most homeowners have no idea what's going on their roof. It also doesn't help that in the industry, there's lots of roofers who won't even take photos or really take the time to explain problems with homeowners' roof. Not to mention that a lot of the time, they don't even know what's going on in the roof very well, or they take a lot of shortcuts. So this video is going to be the top 10 mistakes that I see on roofs. And honestly, anyone who's been on a roof will agree with me. These mistakes happen more often than not. They're more the rule than the exception. So watch out for these. Make sure that you ask if you're getting a roofing quote from anyone about these specific issues and how they look on your roof, and try to get photos of everything so you have everything documented. So basically, number one is the wrong pitch for materials. I've already made a video about this, but different manufacturer specifications require that different materials have different minimum pitches. And so basically what this means is if you're installing a material or product, for example, corrugated color bond, and you're installing it at a pitch lower than its minimum pitch, for example, like color bond has 5 degrees pitch, so if you install it at 2 degrees pitch, you're actually going to be voiding the warranty on that, and you're going to be invalidating your ability to get insurance claims or drastically reducing the amount, because your insurance usually requires that your home is built perfectly. And if it's not, because of this simple material mismatch, then you're going to have some issues. And even if it's off by a few degrees, you're not going to be qualified. And so you really want to make sure that the right material is using the right pitch. If you're getting a metal roof, that means if you're getting anything that's flat, almost flat, you're going to have to go with clip lock or trim deck, but usually some sort of concealed fix metal. So that's mistake number one that I see on roofs. So issue number two is when there's no sarking on the roof. Now, this is pretty common in older built homes, but it's a requirement now under the National Construction Code that new homes have sarking. If it's a tile roof, you need to have sarking on that home in 90% of cases. So if you don't have sarking in your home, or you may not even be aware of what sarking is basically a secondary layer of roofing protection underneath the main roof. So underneath your tiles, you're gonna have sarking, and basically it looks like a aluminium foil, and it's going to do two things. It's gonna act as a waterproof barrier, and it's also going to reduce and reflect radiant heat by about 95%. So just by having sarking, you're gonna be getting a significant amount of insulation in your roof. That's number two. Most new homes should have sarking or anti-con or some sort of secondary water barrier, and a lot of homes don't. So issue number three is inadequate insulation in your home. So most older homes have insulation with an R value of about 2, but that was the go about 20 years ago. These days you can get a much better insulation in ceiling bats, but you can also get insulation as anti-con, which goes directly between the rafters and the roof layer. So you can get lots of insulation that can actually add up to make a super well insulated material, which can add up to make a super well insulated roof, which is going to pass the savings directly onto your home. In addition, you can also get lighter colors, which are going to also drastically reduce the temperature in your roof. So if you go lighter, you're going to get lower temperatures in the summer. You go darker, it's going to absorb more heat, and it's going to be much hotter. Mistake number 4 that I see, and this is way more common than not, and this is flashings that have been installed lazily. And so a lot of the time we get flashings where it's just metal, and up against the metal there's just a thick wad of silicone. The problem is when silicone is exposed to the elements, it's going to be broken down by rain and by the sun and by exposure to the wind as well. So all these things are going to be tearing away the silicone. Silicone should not be the first stop against water in your roof. Flashing should be installed properly. This means that counter flashing should be installed directly into the mortar with thin amounts of silicone that are actually not directly exposed to the elements. So make sure you have good silicones. Make sure you have good flashings. If your flashings are old, they should usually be replaced. Flashings are one of the biggest issues and one of the things that are installed incorrectly as well. A lot of the time, I also see flashings installed on barge ends on roof. Flashings on the barge edge of roofs should go into the roof. They should not go out of the roof. If they go directly out of the roof and there's no gutter system, then they're just essentially going down the wall, which is going to cause damage to your wall, potentially your foundation as well. So there's a lot to get right with flashing. So you want to make sure that you have a full inspection, somebody who actually knows what they're talking about coming out and saying, okay, this is good, this is not. You really need to have an expert have a look at the flashings. Number 5, one of the biggest issues that I see is undersized gutters and downpipes. This is not something you want to skimp on, because if you do, you're going to be paying the price. There's nothing worse than having a gutter that's undersized and water flowing into your home. It causes all sorts of issues. Issue number 6, biggest mistake I see, is the wrong fasteners used in the wrong environment. So if you're within a couple of 100 meters of breaking surf in a very salty environment, you're going to want to have 316 stainless steel fasteners that are going to be able to resist the elements. If they're not, they're going to erode very, very quickly. And what happens when a fastener or a screw erodes is essentially water's going to be able to get in, and in particularly wind heavy events, it could even blow the roof off because there's not enough fasteners and screws holding it down. So you really want to make sure that's appropriate. The second issue that you have to be aware of is when you have mismatched metals. That causes galvanic corrosion, and the least noble metal is going to start to corrode. So you also need to make sure that most of the time the fasteners are going to be the same material, the same metal as the actual roof system itself. Number 7, most common mistake I see is no roof ventilation. It's going to make your roof very hot, and it's a pretty simple fix. If someone's replacing your roof, definitely ask to get proper ventilation in the form of whirlybirds. There's all sorts you can get, but all you really need are the basic ones, and that's going to make a world of difference to the temperature and comfort of your home, but also the longevity of your roof. So issue number 8 that I see as well is box gutters that are left unmanaged. Basically, what a box gutter is on a roof, you have an internal gutter system, and it's really good. It's really effective. It conceals the gutter, so it looks really nice. The only problem is when that's not maintained, it blocks up really, really quickly, especially there's lots of foliage around, and it's going to, when it leaks, go directly into your home. So you want to make sure if you do have box gutters, they are being taken care of frequently. You do not want to deal with a box gutter situation where it's leaking internally, cause all sorts of issues. Issue number 9 is relying on silicone as a permanent fix. First of all, silicone should never be used as a permanent fix. You should always get a real roofer to come out and fix the problem properly so it actually lasts, and silicone should never be exposed to the elements of steel. Next issue is using silicone as a permanent fix. Silicone should never be used as a permanent fix because it's always going to come back and bite you in the ass. The reason is silicone is going to degrade very quickly. You need proper flashings. You need a proper roofing system, which is going to stop this the problem and be a more permanent fix. And mistake number 10 is paying more than 10% deposit on a roof and getting all of your money stolen. This happens more than you'd think, more than you'd like to admit. I was at a customer's house the other day, and they came and they paid the full amount before the job was done, and the roofer, who was unqualified, just ran away. And this actually happened in the inner suburbs of inner city area of Sydney, and so it's something you completely want to avoid. So make sure you're paying no more than 10% insurance. Make sure you get all the proper insurance. Make sure you're paying no more than 10% deposit. You're getting all the correct insurances and paperwork before you choose the contractor that is right for you. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment below on what you'd like to see next, and keep an eye out for the next video.